I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Surface analysis at midday shows some moisture working its way through East Texas, southeast Oklahoma, and then we're actually seeing some radar echoes up over parts of Missouri, north central Arkansas, and oddly enough, some of it rotating back through parts of eastern Kansas. Now, the moisture in eastern Kansas, I guess it's not anything to get super excited about yet. This is a little early. Moisture is very, very light, but it's leading to a very damp feel across Kansas. Is this moisture that's going to be helping hard red winter wheat? Well, I guess it won't hurt at this point, but in terms of saying it's a help, probably not, because we're looking at a few hundredths of an inch is about all right now. Just a little bit of light rain and drizzle, and it does miss a large part of western Kansas. However, where things get interesting is a low pressure and frontal boundary complex that's coming together basically up and down the I-25 corridor from southeastern parts of Wyoming all the way through Colorado and into northern parts of New Mexico. This really looks like where the action's probably going to be as we go through the next 24 to 36 hours. Computer models are showing moisture trying to come together there, diving south-southeast. So I think the big question will be, all right, does it dive more south, or is it able to move east quite nicely? The European model pushes a little bit of moisture across into southwest Kansas, so the European is definitely staking itself to more of an easterly push rather than south. This is key because that would get at least a few tenths of an inch, maybe a quarter of an inch into western parts of Kansas, southwest Kansas, and then the Oklahoma Panhandle. My concern would be that the system actually dives south farther first and basically does an end around, if you will, missing Kansas and hitting Texas and Oklahoma. So the next 12 to 24 hours will tell if that's the case or not, and then we'll see the moisture continue to move off to the east from there before probably meandering through the boot heel of Missouri and into the Tennessee and Ohio valleys. Right now, folks in the Central Plains need to keep their fingers crossed that this does come together. It looks like the best precipitation will come as thunderstorms try and fire off in the south in Oklahoma, probably overnight tomorrow night into early Friday. So the best rains will be Oklahoma into North Texas. But at this point, with as dry as it is in Kansas and even up into southern parts of Nebraska, this is something that we're going to want to keep our eyes on and keep our fingers crossed on. I am taking a more pessimistic approach. I just think with the dryness of the atmosphere out there, there's a higher likelihood that the best rain steers around Kansas. We'll just sit here and hope I'm wrong. Either way, everything should be wrapped up and done going down into Texas as we finish out Friday, go into Saturday and Sunday, and that's going to leave most of the middle of the country dry as we go into and through next week. With the Corn Belt, we're going to be watching closely as a system may try and come together toward midweek next week. It's interesting. The American model doesn't have this as much. The latest European does. A nice low coming across parts of Minnesota, tapping into maybe some lingering moisture out of Texas and the lower delta to promote some scattered showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder across parts of Illinois, southern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, and then into Indiana. The time frame for this would be late Wednesday afternoon into Thursday of next week. Now, this is something that's just developed here recently in terms of getting some teeth behind it. So I think I want to see another model run or two that kind of backs this up before getting too excited about it. But I will say that the European does try and put almost an inch worth of moisture from northwest Ohio back across Indiana, central to southern Illinois, and into Missouri as we go from late next Wednesday, the 25th, through the Thursday, the 26th. So this will be over the midnight hour. Temperatures are warm enough that it would all be liquid, of course. So this is something that we're going to need to watch. We follow that up with another cool high, so that does lend itself to saying that we're probably going to be seeing mostly below normal or normal to below normal temperatures across the Corn Belt as we finish out the rest of the month of March. International weather, not a whole lot to talk about here. We still have that moisture around in Brazil and bean areas, drying out over the southern part of bean areas, though. Mato Grosso do Sul through Paraná, looks like we're going to dry things out a little bit more there. Argentina warm through the rest of this week. That shouldn't be a surprise there. We've talked about that. Not a lot of moisture, though. It looks like it's pretty hit and miss. Australia, this is probably the most exciting thing with regard to wheat. We looked at some models in Australia this morning and looked at them again here at midday, and there's much better rain starting to work in the latter part of the 10-day period over Western Australia. A good third of the wheat grown in Australia is out in that province, and we see slightly better moisture in New South Wales and Victoria as well. So as we move more toward thoughts of planting in Australia, we might be prepping the ground, prepping the soil profile a little bit better. as we head on toward the end of the month. That's what we've got in your midday update. Have a great rest of your day. Got any questions on the weather? Give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.